Hi, this is Kush Sharma from creativepathphotography.com. I'm the author of Digital Photography for Beginners, which is a Kindle ebook on Amazon that's meant to help beginners learn DSLR photography and how to shoot on the manual mode. All right, so if you've been following the blog tutorial, hopefully you've got your 10 odd shots of the sky, of the starlit sky. And now it's our job to combine all these images together so that we can fill in the gaps that each image has between the stars. And the other image basically fills in the stars of the of one image, basically fill in the gaps of the other image. And we keep doing that to the time we get something like this. So let's get started. Let's see how to do that. So the first thing I'll be doing is I'll be opening the images of the stars, all of them together. So I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 images here. So I'll be opening all of them. You can even have 8 or 12 or doesn't matter. Once you get the idea, you can always get more pics because the sky is going to be the same if even if it just has to be clear. So you can always go and take it back again at some other point of time if you feel you need more pics. Okay, so let's just open all 10 of them. Okay, so all the 10 images are now open in Photoshop. You can see the tabs here. What we'll do is we'll just select one of these images as the image that we'll use as the background, and then we'll keep on piling the other images on top of this image. Okay, so this is our background image, and what we'll do is start dragging out every image and placing it over this image. So how you do that is, let's say this is the first image that we have to drag on top of this image. So just click here, drag it out, and use the move tool here. So if you see this tool list on the left, you will see the move tool here. Just click on it and just drag this image on top of this. So you'll see, and then just close this. You'll see that this image has come here. It's pretty subtle because both of them are pretty similar, so you'll just have to be a bit careful in making sure that you align it properly. So I'm just moving it, and it should just about superimpose on the background. Similarly, just keep on doing this. So you'll see we started off with the background. Now we have layer 1 on top of this. So in Photoshop, the images are called layers. When you keep on piling them, they'll start to be labeled as layer 1, layer 2, and you'll see now if I put this image, it'll become layer 3. Just close this. So I know many of you know Photoshop. It's just that I'm being a little slow because some people might be total beginners as far as Photoshop is concerned. So just keep doing this. You'll have to be a little patient if you have more images. So I've got a portrait like image also here. I don't know how that came about, but just keep on putting. It does not matter. Even if it's not exactly aligned, it actually does not matter right now. So whatever you have, just keep on piling them up on top of each other. Okay. Okay, and I think we've got one more. Yes. Just pile this too. Okay. Now what you have to do is, now this step is really important. So you can see we've got this background and layer 1, layer 2, 3 up to layer 9. So basically it has 9 from layer 1 to 9. So those are 9 images, and the background, which is the 10th image. So you have 10 images on top of each other. Now if I just double click this lock icon, this background will basically become layer 0. So we have from layer 0 to layer 9, 10 images. Now our job is to superimpose these images. So what we do is let the background image be as it is. Now we go on to layer 1, and then you can see this. By the way, if you can't see this layers palette, what you have to do is Just go to Windows, make sure the layers is checked. So if I just uncheck it, it disappears, and go to Windows and I click on layers again. Okay, so go to layer 1 now, which was the first image we put on top of the background, which is layer 0. So go, just make sure this is highlighted. You just click on it, left click on it, and once that's the case, go to here and just click on this little menu that you can see, drop down menu. So this is the blending mode of this image. That is how we want this image to blend with this, and the blending mode that we'll select is called lighten. And what happens when you click on lighten is that right now we can't see that because there's so many images on top of it. But what has happened is that this, anything that was bright in this image has merged with this image. So the stars were bright, so that those stars have merged with the stars of this image. The rest of the image is not that prominent. So the dark area, that is the sky, is not very prominent now. Only the stars are from this image, and we already have the sky from this image. So we just keep doing that. What basically we're doing with this lighten mode is that we're taking the stars from each of these images and blending them with layer 0 and using the sky of layer 0 by using the lighten mode blend for every layer. So on layer 2, just do the same thing and click on lighten. Layer 3, lighten. 4, lighten. 5, lighten. 6, 7, 2 more to go, and the last one. So now you can see the effect immediately. If I just zoom in, you can see all the stars are merged together now. If you didn't notice this, I'll just zoom into the image and I'll just go a step backward. Okay, now if I click on lighten on the last layer, we can see the effect that this lighten blending mode has had all this while. So since this is at the top right now, you can't see any effect. Once I click this, you will be able to see the effect of what was going underneath it also. So you can see the moment I click on lighten, just keep your eyes on this. This was one image. Now what you will see is a lot of images. So just keep an eye on the stars, and I click on lighten and zoom. So many of them. So this is basically the stars of every image combined together on the background image. That was the first image that we had. Now, the more images you have, the better, because and that's one of the reasons why you take different parts of the sky, different shots of different areas of the sky, so that these stars do not superimpose on each other. Because if they do, if every image is the same, then you're not going to feel any difference because the stars will be almost at the same position. So you have to make sure all the shots that you've taken out of different parts of the sky, you can just move like 2-3 yards and then place the camera slightly off to where your last shot was and keep taking shots like that. That's perfectly fine. If however you I don't know what happened there, I'll just step backward. Oh, something's gone wrong here. Yeah, this is how we were. Okay, so if I just zoom out, you can see most of our stars are here. Okay, now what will happen is the more number of images that you take, the more stars you'll have. But suppose, yeah, that's what I was saying. If you do happen to just have, let's say, 10 shots or less than 10 shots, and you feel this is not enough, what you can do is, and what I did for this shot is, you can just click on, let's say, layer 1, which is the second image we put. Just right click on it and just click on it so that it's highlighted, and then just go to edit and go to transform and click on flip horizontal. No, I'm sorry. Okay, so first, I just got a call. Okay, so yeah, just right click on layer one. I'm sorry, I'm just a little confused. Yes, now I've got hold of what I wanted to say. Yeah, just click on duplicate layer. So what we've done is we've created another layer. So you can see it's layer one and now it's layer one copy, but this won't make a difference even if now this hasn't made any difference because it's just the same layer. So even when it's on the lighten mode, the stars are literally superimposed on the same image. And I'm just switching off my phone. So right now it's not made any difference because these layers are same. So the star placement in these images is exactly the same. So what you basically do is now you go to edit. So once you've clicked on layer one copy, now just go to edit and go to transform and then click on flip horizontal. Now, did you see this? Did you see 2, 3 stars just come up? So I'll just go and click on step backward. Now they disappear. Just keep an eye over this part. So I have layer one copy. I go transform and flip horizontal, and can you see these few stars have come here? So what we've basically done is we've just added another image which is a copy of this image. Only thing is we've just flipped it horizontal, so the stars which were here have gone this side and the stars which are here have come this side. So there's a disparity between the placement of both the stars of the in both the images in layer 1 and layer 1 copy because we flipped this horizontal. So basically you just get an additional image which has a different placement of stars, exactly the opposite placement of stars, but that does our job because it fills in the gaps somewhere, right? So you can do this for some of the images, and if you find something is becoming too symmetrical and it's very noticeable, you can always just click and select any. Suppose this was the layer which we flipped horizontal. You just click on layer 1 copy and then just move it slightly out. You can see the stars moving, right? Just move it slightly anywhere will do, as long as you're just filling in some gaps. So you can literally do this for every layer. Then you'll, even though you have 10 shots, if you do this for every layer or every image, you're literally dealing with 20 shots because the placement of the stars is different, and that's all we want. Having said that, if you can get, let's say, 20-25 shots during shooting, it's always better. Okay, so all right, so this was a hack within a hack because we're already dealing with a hack. And okay, so let's just continue now. So you can see we have enough number of stars. Now I'm not going to copy every layer, so that's why if you see this image and if you just look at this image, the number of stars are slightly less in this one. That's because what I did for this was I copied each layer. Each of these 9 layers was copied and then flipped horizontally and then just moved around a bit to fill in the gaps. So there were obviously more number of stars since every image had a copy of its own. But here we'll just leave it just to explain you the concept. So this is enough. Now what you do is, once everything is done, keep selecting all the layers by, you'll have to hold down control and keep clicking on every layer. Okay. And right click once everything is selected and just click on merge layers. So this will just make it into one layer, and now we can just operate, we can just edit this layer just as a single image. So now it's just a single image, which is layer 9, which is a combination of all these images. Now what you do is you have to work with the adjustment box now to get these stars more prominent. And how we do that is you need the adjustment box in the first place. So if you can't see this box, go window, adjustments. So now it disappears and now it comes back again. First thing we'll do is we'll reduce the brightness a bit. So let's go to here, click on the first option, this bulb-like option, which is brightness and contrast. So just reduce the brightness a bit till it becomes a little darker. So this is fine. And if you can just see this little line here, it's only because one of the images that I used for, a few of the images I used for blending was a portrait, so it did not fill in the whole thing. If you remember, it was a vertical like image. That's the only reason you see this, otherwise you won't see that. And these little gaps here are because I've not been too careful in putting these images on top of each other, which you shouldn't face because you'll go about it slowly. I'm just showing you how it's done, so I'm just going a bit fast. So just reduce the brightness a bit till you'll start to see more number of stars. What you can do is you just zoom in so that you can see this better. So this was the brightness we started off with. Now it's too bright. Now just keep an eye on the stars and you'll see more number of stars show up when I reduce the brightness. That's because we're making the darker area darker. And this much is fine. But the real difference will come when you actually increase the contrast, because when you do that, the brighter areas will become brighter and the darker area will become darker, and the brighter areas here are the stars only. So now you can see the effect. Now can you see stars start showing up? So just play around a little bit till the time you feel you're seeing enough stars. I think this is fine. Again, as I said, you might feel this is still not a lot of stars, not something like this. But that's again because I did not copy each layer. If you, let's say, no, or I did not have 20 or 30 shots, and if I had copied every layer, I would be essentially dealing with 20 shots of stars, and that would have been enough. So you can do that. The only reason I did not do that is just to shorten the length of the video. Okay, I promise I won't say that again. Uh, and all right, so once you have this, this is sufficient. Now what you need to do is you need to change the temperature of this picture. By that I mean right now it's just too warm. So you need to make it a little cooler because sky normally appears to be dark bluish. So what you do is you go to photo filter here and just click on this drop down menu and select cooling filter. So now you can see it's got a bluish look to it, or you can even go for, yeah, I think this is fine. So that's cooling filter 82, right? And just keep increasing the density of this filter and you'll see it becomes slightly more bluish. That's fine. And now again go back to contrast and just increase it. Now it starts to get a dark nightish feel to it. Okay, and if I just zoom in, yeah, it's fine. Now what you can do is, if I just zoom in, you'll see the stars are not too sharp. So what you can do is you can just first of all just control and click on all the layers and just click on merge layers, so that we again just dealing with one layer. And now what you do is once you've done that, just go to filter and go to sharpen and click on smart sharpen. Okay, now you'll see, let the amount be whatever it shows by default. So it sharpened by 100% on its own. That's fine. And just to show you what effect it has, if I just click on this, it'll show how it looked previously. So you can see it's a very subtle effect. This is how it looked previously, and when I release my button, this is how it looks now. Can you just see that small effect? You'll probably be able to see on this star here. This is previous, and I release my mouse and now it's next. So we can actually just increase it a bit more, I feel. Remember, it also increases the noise. When you increase sharpness, it increases the noise in the dark areas. You can see as I'm increasing the sharpness, these grains start to appear more, but the stars also become a little sharp. So you'll have to find that right balance. So if I do this much, I think it's too much of noise. So probably let's go back to 150. I think this is fine. If I just click on it, previous, this is before and this is after. I feel this is slightly better. So if I just zoom out, now you can see the stars have become slightly sharper. And just one last thing that you can do is go to image here, go to adjustments and go to shadows highlights. Okay, now by default it just made it very dark. Oh, sorry, very bright. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring out the highlights, and highlights are the stars. So highlights refers to anything which is bright in the image. So the only thing bright here is the star. So we're gonna bring out the highlights more, and we want to darken the shadows more. Shadows refers to the dark areas, which is the sky here. So let's just play around with these sliders. So let's see if we just play around with the shadow slider first. Let's see what impact it has on the sky. So we want the sky to get dark. So let's see. So I think this is good. Probably, yeah, this is fine. And now we want to increase the highlights. So let's just keep an eye on the stars. You'll see that they start to grow more brighter. And that's what we want. Can you see even the number of stars that you can see also increase when I am increasing the highlights. So just to show you the difference again, I'll slide it all the way here and just keep an eye on the stars. Just a very subtle change. To be frank, I can't see too much of a difference. Let's just zoom in and let's just see if this is making a difference. I actually brought out the highlights on Lightroom, which is another software. I did not do that on Photoshop for this image, but it does not make a difference. It all works the same way. Let's just see if it has any difference. Oh, I don't think the difference right now it's really noticeable. So anyway, let's just push it up to 100 and click on OK. If you do know how to use Lightroom, you can always work around the highlights and shadows, play around the sliders there, the highlights and the shadows and the blacks slider. So the highlights and the shadows slider maybe worked for me there for this image, but I always prefer Photoshop over Lightroom. But that's the only thing I did for this particular image on Lightroom. Wow, this is not responding. Yeah, for this image, and I think this is fine. The only thing is number of stars are lesser. That's already given you the reason. I'm not going to give you the reason for the third time. Yes, so that's how you combine images together to get this merge feel, more the number of images, and you'll have a much better image at your hand, something like this. And if you do know how to use Lightroom, you can just play around with the highlights and the shadow slider there. It's a good software to have. It's an important software to have, so you should have it anyway. All right, so that was it for the tutorial. If you want to purchase my book, you can go ahead, which is Digital Photography for Beginners. Everything is step by step, just like how it was in this article, and it's much more precise and crisp than this particular tutorial. I know this went on and on, and I'm not gonna take any more of your time. All right, I'll see you in some other video. Take care.